Undocumented have died without any, have died in the custody of ICE. It's pretty crazy.
She died most recently on April 25th, and at this juncture, we have no cause of death. What ended up happening is that two members of Congress, Representatives Sheriff Liz McCormick, as well as Frederica Wilson, who's also a congressperson, went to the detention center to try and get answers. Because, again, she's a Haitian woman. There's a huge Haitian population in South Florida, so this was definitely a thing of concern. And so when they tried to get answers from ICE, they were met with hostility, and they were evasive as all get. They had asked very clear questions as to what their protocol is if someone is complaining of heart or chest pain, and they wouldn't give any answers. The two congresswomen toured the facility and kept pressing for answers and got nothing. They actually spoke to detainees who were present when Marianne died, and they had said that she had been complaining of chest pain regularly. She had gotten her pills at 8 a.m., but she still kept complaining after she had her medication, and she had been in pain for days. So again, you're complaining of pain, you're saying that I need help, and the nurses and those who are charged with taking care of them turned a deaf ear. What also is disturbing is that Congresswoman Cheryl McCormick said that this particular facility where she was held has only one doctor on call for over 500 detainees. 500 detainees, one doctor on call. That doesn't mean the doctor's there, it means the doctor's somewhere else, and then has to respond to the facility once they've been called. One doctor, 500 people.
Oh.
That math is not math. And they being the detention center, refused to specify how many other healthcare professionals or anyone else that's on staff to be able to give any kind of assistance. As more and more people get snatched up and be put in these different facilities, all of them are getting overcrowded because these facilities were not designed to house this many people. So now you have people sleeping on the floors, you have people sleeping in filth, you have people sleeping by toilets in the bathroom, complete inhumane circumstances, and not enough medical personnel. Because again, if you're in these overcrowded, nasty situations, it takes nothing for there to be some kind of illness outbreak. Think back to when we were in COVID, and many jurisdictions were releasing people that were low-level offenders out of jail and out of prison because they're like, if it's too crowded, COVID's going to fly through this prison. So it's the same kind of concept when you have overcrowding in an ICE facility. It takes nothing for there to be a massive outbreak. And where's your medical staff? If you can't even handle the basics of somebody having chest pain, let's make sure to get them to a doctor immediately.
Yeah.
What's going to happen?
What's going to happen?
When there are more serious outbreaks and more serious issues. This is all
concentration camps. The Trump concentration camps. This is what we're talking about right here.
Policies, and not even to mention the fact that they're not even giving people policies. Absolutely disgusting. So again, we're going to have to keep the pressure on. I'm glad to see
Trump's birthday is happening. Everyone needs to be protesting Trump's birthday.
Come out and also get involved and do something. Like, why are they sitting there quiet while people are dying in government custody? This is not supposed to happen. So it's time for all of us to be calling our elected officials to be like, what do you plan to do about this? Because this isn't okay. They have the power to push back against the president. They have the power to launch an investigation. They gotta stop sitting on their hands. This is ridiculous.
Sup there?
I'm Pearson, also known as the WrestleMania team, and this was the breakdown. If you enjoyed the content on this channel, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and tell a friend.
It's insane. I made the prediction that you're going to see innocent people arrested. That's happened. I never made the kids being deported, American kids being deported because their parents are undocumented. That's a test case for Trump. It's pretty horrific. What's going on in America now? People are dying in ICE detention. Ukrainian guy, a Haitian woman, and a Latino in Honduras. 3 people so far are dead. And you have to imagine how bad it's got to be. How you doing there, Jatare? So picking up Mikey. You got to take Mikey to his boxing. Ah, beautiful day here in Japan. Ugh. How's everyone doing? So much gas. It's just horrific what's happening in America now. America was such a great country. Make America great again. What's great about America now? America is hated by countries all over. Look at look at how Canadians think of America. Look how Europe, how Japan, how all these countries now, they used to look up at America as this golden, as this, as this beacon on the hill. Now they just look at America as a pariah because of one guy, because one motherfucker. The guy's name is Trump, Donald Trump, destroying America like he destroyed his country, his companies. What side my gas is on here? Dochi, 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 koko, koko, kochi. Oh, good premium. Gosh. Where is the? Okay. Started carrying shochu here. Oh. Mm. So many foreigners now. Weird. By freedom. So many foreigners. It's like the majority of people in this grocery store now are not Japanese. All sorts of foreigners. It's like Mikuni has just become this very multicultural place. These guys are from Cambodia. What's up, Lewis? What's going on, Lewis? Where are you from? Welcome to Japan. In this last year, I've seen an explosion of foreigners in Japan. Explosion. I used to be the only foreigner in this area. Now I see Cambodians, you know, Vietnamese, everything. About you, Lewis? Where you from? Mikey's still not treating his lungs. Still not treating your lungs, Mikey. Still coughing up a storm. Lewis.
Because we are the resistance. Take care. In collaboration with the Midas Touch Network, we just launched the Illegal AF YouTube channel to help us build this pro-democracy channel. We're curating the top stories. I don't know exactly what physics looks like at high energy. I may not have any fields that describe reality. I may need to use a different tool. I may need to use strings. I may need to use something else yet. Even sort of, I don't know. It doesn't matter too much because what I'm seeing about is amplitude of probabilities of given outputs. I don't really need to understand what the other fundamental blocks of nature are very high energy. But what I do know is when I make a link between high energy and I go down to lower energy, I can sum up with probabilities. And so, for instance, if I am at low energy and I take two electrons, let's say I take two particles and I scatter them together at a given energy, they're gonna interact, and lots of different things can happen. And what can happen depends a little bit on all of high energy physics, but all other additional contributions should add up positively to some quantities related to the amplitude of probability. So whatever, if I have other particles that come in there that come and play along in the game, all they can do is add up for a new outcome, which will give an additional positive contribution to potential, to the realm of possibilities. So this is really what the positivity bounds are. So in some sense, it's embedded in this notion of unitarity. But you don't need to go into the details. It's very much into when thinking that when I scatter things, so the scattering, this is what is encoded in this S matrix. That's what we're talking about, the S matrix. I can look at the different possible outcomes. And if I have more and more physics coming in at high energy, that opens more and more possibilities, or it opens up more and more contributions to the potential outcomes. But they will bring in positive contribution. I don't want anything which may lead me to negative contributions, because otherwise I could simply focus on this and end up with a probability which doesn't make sense, which is negative, let's say. So these are what the positivity bounds about. Conceptually, you can think they're quite simple. They're quite simple to understand. Things should add up constructively and positively. Of course, it's a bit more mathematical than that. what I'm saying is a little bit simplified. It's not entirely correct, I should say, but it's just to give you the gist of it, a little bit of the taste of it. But the beauty of this is that it enables you to make a connection between an unknown high energy completion. I don't know what it is. All I know is possibility, its contribution to amplitude and probability of high energy, and then some potential outcome at low energy and some realization, some models at low energy. And so I can help out, have a model at low energy, which I call it an effective description. It's an effective quantum field description for the world at low energy. For instance, the standard model of particle physics, I can think of it as
Maybe
a low
Cambodia.
energy effective quantum field theory. It's valid up to a given energy scale. And even general relativity, I can think of it as an effective quantum field description. It's a quantum field theory, and an effective one, which makes sense, makes complete sense. It's consistent, everything goes well, there's absolutely no problem up to a given energy scale. And it's only when I start looking at things at a high energy scale, and I can think of doing scattering processes that involves gravity, when I start doing this at energy scales which are comparable to the Planck scale, then I start producing black holes and all sorts of funny things happen. And if I were just to take general relativity with nothing else at high energy, I would seem to break this outcome of unitarity, break this notion that the probability should sum up to one. So this is really the issue. This is why we know that something else has to come up to compensate for that. But now I can just take effective descriptions at low energy, the quantum field theories, and just consider amplitudes of probability at low energy, and then ask myself whether their behavior as a function of energy, and different parameters which are related to some extent to energy, is consistent with
Get
what
out
I
here.
would have expected had it come from some consistent high energy theory. And so, as I mentioned before, for some of those models, we already know that they will not be consistent. An interesting thing is that sometimes you look at it at low energy and nothing wrong seems to happen. In principle, they could be a lucky description as an effective potential quantum field theory that may be consistent. But then we know that in fact they're never going to be linked. To link them to a high energy completion, something bad has to happen somewhere along the way. There needs to be some negative contribution somewhere along the way, and that can't happen otherwise. We could just focus on this negative contribution, and everything will be unstable. Everything will be bad. So now you can do that for